world knows Sandbox. You have built it into one of the largest platforms, not just from a Web3 gaming perspective, but really as an application of blockchain. You have made it as one of the biggest platforms that the world has ever seen. Sebastien Borget, co-founder of Sandbox. One of the most important thing that I want to register with the audience here is the name Sandbox started becoming really global in the last few years, but the journey to build that has been much longer.
Yes.
I would love for you to talk about that.
How about the millions of other people who love video games like me and wants to make something as well? And so I felt like the technology here was mature enough to enable anyone to create their own game. Originally, I always wanted to make my own video game. Since I've been like a child or a teenager, let's say I got my first console, Super Nintendo. I've always been like a geek, playing around with the first new gadget, new technology, learning about it. And like getting my first video game console, I say, oh wow, like Super Nintendo, Super Mario World, I want to make my own game one day. Like in the day of video game, I'm pro Nintendo, I'm pro Sony, I'm pro Xbox, and I only want an Xbox at my home. I don't think people say I'm only Ethereum and I only want to play Ethereum game or Solana game and I don't care and I will not. Like those days are maybe a bit gone.
Ways to make that scalable and
battery.
Fire alarm.
Oh, nice.
This podcast is on fire. Hello everybody. My name is Kapil Dhiman. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Curanium. Welcome to Quantum Minds. I'm joined by my amazing co-host Olivia Carlson to interview one of the biggest players in the blockchain industry today, Sebastien Borget, the co-founder of Sandbox. Sebastien, welcome to Quantum Minds.
Thank you, Kapil Dhiman. It's really great to be here. Thank you, Olivia. That's exciting.
So, Sebastien, like we were speaking, the world knows Sandbox. You have built it into one of the largest platforms, not just from a Web3 gaming perspective, but really as an application of blockchain. You have made it as one of the biggest platforms that the world has ever seen. So, briefly, I think it'll be interesting for people to for some of the Web2 people who are now getting into Web3. If you can give a download of what is Sandbox and where we are today. And after that, but I'm more interested to today dive deeper into your mind. Sebastien, as an individual, as the leader who built this, about your life. So we'll do that in those two segments.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to stay super humble. Like, even though like Sandbox has grown to like 6.3 million users, I still feel like there's a lot of people in the world who need to discover about what we are, what we do, and why they should love us, actually. Sandbox is essentially a decentralized virtual world where anyone can become a creator, make some sort of like 3D content using voxels, those like digital Lego. They can not only make 3D content, but also like games and experiences without any single line of code. It's all like drag and drop, playing around with our free tools and editors, VoxEdit and GameMaker. And they can leverage some of the 400 major brands that we brought in to create and bring to life to their imagination all sorts of game and truly own this creation thanks to the use of blockchain technology and NFTs. They can then publish their experience on a virtual land where other users can access with their avatar and start playing around and so on. The fun thing I think is like when you tell about like, do people really know about Sandbox, is what we see is like people love about the Sandbox, the concept, the vision. They heard about it maybe from some friends, some relatives, some family. Maybe they have some Sand token or some virtual land, but they haven't yet played. So that's the exciting part, is like you can actually be involved in Sandbox. You can be supporting it or just like the brand without actually using any of the different products. And that will also be something we'll be talking about soon, because like I think it's potentially a big game changer for like what we are looking at in terms of vision and strategy.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And one of the most important thing that I want to register with the audience here is the name Sandbox started becoming really global in the last few years, but the journey to build that has been much longer.
Yes.
I would love for you to talk about that, the hustle that it took to come here, and then it became a big brand.
So, it actually started in 2011, Sandbox, as a mobile game. originally, I always wanted to make my own video game. Since I've been like a child or a teenager, let's say I got my first console, Super Nintendo. I've always been like a geek, playing around with the first new gadget, new technology, learning about it. And like getting my first video game console, I say, oh wow, like Super Nintendo, Super Mario World, I want to make my own game one day. Like how? And then I've been curious, like what do I need to do to achieve, like what kind of studies, what kind of skills I need to learn? Is there a school to learn how to make video games? And the truth is, like, there wasn't many video game schools in France or other part of the world, by the way. And like the barrier to entry to make your own video games was very high, like because you needed like specific device or restricted consoles to I call the development kits to make them. Like you need to have like many different skills and large team that cost large budget. So ultimately the barrier to entry to the video game market as a creator was high until smartphones came in. Like when smartphone came in, I felt like the moment that kind of like the dream of like the startup in Silicon Valley where you have one or two founders in their garage that can launch something that will revolutionize the world. We've seen that many times from Apple to Microsoft to IBM and so on. That moment was happening again with video games. Like anyone from their home could build an application on a smartphone, including a game with just 1-2 people teams and even grow beyond. So I've been being an entrepreneur since 2007, together with my business partner and co-founder Arthur Madrid. We already had like 2 other companies on exit. The third company, I said, I want to make video games. It's the right time. And so we jumped into it early on. We were one of the first mobile game free-to-play studio. And not only I felt like this is the beginning of the dream, or I'll say a long journey with high and lows. And I also felt like that's not enough. I can make my game. I've accomplished a part of that dream. But how about the millions of other people who love video games like me and wants to make something as well? And so I felt like the technology here was mature enough to enable anyone to create their own game. And how they would do so is just by touching the screen of the smartphone. It has this like sense of magic because like the touch screen was really revolutionary at that time on iPhone. There was nothing comparable, and dropping those pixels in 2D on the screen and sharing your creation with other users was like something like very fresh, very new. And there was, even though Minecraft was existing among one of the first user-generated content game, it was still a 3D game on PC only. There was no mobile version of it. So we felt like, okay, we can launch that on mobile. We can become the 2D Minecraft, grow with the user-generated content and become successful. And so we did. We launched in 2011. We had 1 million downloads on the first month. It was a big success over the lifetime of that game. Like over 8 years, we had 40 million downloads, 70 million player-made creation. And we also came to the realization that even though people loved creating out of passion, out of their giving their time and so on, that wasn't enough. Like people, after a while, those creators, they were leaving the game, having like some profile with the social fame and so on associated with it being featured wasn't enough to retain them. Actually, it was lacking a form of like, I wouldn't say revenue compensation, not a salary, but a form of like a recognition for the value they've done beyond just the likes. And we were limited. We couldn't actually send any payment to our creators, even though they were buying content in our game, even though we had their profile. All we had as a way to contact them was their email. The platform, the App Store, the Google Play Store, they don't allow you to make a payment back to any of your users. So I had to work being close to the community of creators, just like finding their email, sending them a contract, and then making a payment by PayPal to distribute electronic money globally to those creators. And I was literally not scalable. Like I could do it maybe 100 creators a month maximum. Quickly, I reached a limitation. So I was struggling with the fact that we are a user-generated content platform. We're making millions of dollars of revenue a year with that game, and we cannot share a portion of that back to our community to keep those creators engaged. Until in 2017, I find about blockchain. I start to learn as a geek and early adopter. I play around. I buy my first Bitcoin miner, understand the protocol of proof of work, and I find about the first blockchain game. Any game that's coming out, we would always deconstruct them to understand why what makes them like successful, their business model, everything from the user interface, the onboarding, and so on. Somehow I became a bit perverted, like from I love making video games to making video games has become so analytical about like how we make good products, but in a good way, because then we analyze why is this first blockchain game, guess which one is it? You know?
Nah.
CryptoKitties.
Ah,
Have you tried that by then? So it was a very simple game. You buy those virtual cats and you breed them. Nothing fancy. We've seen that for years, decades before. But there are a few unique things. So we looked into it. And first of all, like the cats, you didn't buy them from the game developer itself. You were buying them from other players. Oh, wow, that's new. Like that's very uncommon to buy other content from other players. Usually, even like those gray marketplace or black marketplace were forbidden and closed by the game developer, having the risk to lose your user account. The second is like you didn't even buy it in the game itself. Like the game told you like you need to go to that website, OpenSea. Back then it was sort of like an eBay of digital assets, virtual cats. And you were not paying with a credit card like you used to do on your mobile phone for games or in the internet. You were buying with crypto. So you have to open a wallet and get some cryptocurrency and use that currency to buy. And that cryptocurrency was free. You could obtain it from exchange or from other users. And everything was happening outside of the game. And that was a revelation for us to say, hey, but like, what if instead of virtual cat, we apply that to all the content made by our creator in Sandbox? Then they could actually exchange it or sell it themselves on the marketplace. They could monetize it and they could receive payment without us involved. It's all scalable. The solution is here. The tech provides a solution for our problem. And so we say, okay, we're going to start from a blank page. Let's remake a version of Sandbox, this time 3D, multiplayer, and with blockchain at the core. So any creation is actually an NFT that can be exchanged, traded, and monetized by our creators.
what's next?
What's next?
Yes.
All right. Well, first of all, what's the mission of Sandbox? Our mission is to empower anyone to become a creator. And we've done so by launching our creation tool, democratizing content creation to people who never made video games before, allowing them to earn a revenue from their passion, and publishing over our map of virtual real estate map of 164 lands, over 2,000 experiences already. We brought millions of new creators to discover and onboard Web3 as well. We onboarded brands and matched them with creators. That's been one of the key success of Sandbox. And I think the vision is to continue delivering better creative tool, enable like more creative possibilities so we can make like different kind of games. We can even use and implement AI to like with vibe coding and other trends to facilitate like anyone who own a land to make a game even simpler than just drag and drop. We want to show that basically the virtual world that people have explored of Sandbox, what if it was only a tiny portion of what the Sandbox is? What it really matters is like your avatar, your identity, the experience on the land, and the content that you create. And all the content you buy, you collect, etc., instead of being constrained in a way to use it only in Sandbox, in the virtual world, in the context of that creation tool, we want people to be able to use their asset across so many different games. And eventually even to be able to connect their wallet to different apps and use those content. This is a promise that blockchain has brought and the great vision of the metaverse, like interoperability. I can use my content in a seamless manner from one place to another, but it's theory. Nobody really built an example of like true open metaverse. So we want to launch more games that will be not made with our game maker, but will be standalone, published on other platforms, built with other engine, Unity, Unreal, HTML5. Those games will still have the voxel graphic and aesthetics of Sandbox. And if you can play them for free in-app with no purchase or in-app purchase or ads and so on with fiat. But if you have a Sandbox account, you can connect it. And from there, you have access to all your content, your avatar, your identity, your sand, your land, and you can use it in the context of all those different games. That's the part one. Part two, I think it's even more ambitious. Part 1 was already announced, by the way. It's called the Voxel Games Program. We kicked it off in August last year. We have 3 games in production at the moment, and we hope to launch them, some of them before the end of the year, so people can start seeing that bigger vision. The second part of the bigger vision, I cannot announce it fully yet. Sorry, like the alarm went down, so I feel less stressed to announce it now. But essentially, I feel like true to the concept of decentralization, to keep empowering creators, we need to keep giving them the possibility and the tool to do what they want, to launch their own token, to access all our brands, all the content that's available, but not be constrained only into one application to do those things. So opening a much broader ecosystem, opening to new use case and utility for the tokens of Sandbox, the sand, the land, the avatars, meaning like bridging not only with the world of culture and entertainment, but opening to our DeFi and other possibilities behind for our creators. So it's something we've been on the work. I hope to announce later this year, and I feel I can really enlarge the vision of what Sandbox can be.
Amazing. From a builder standpoint, or for somebody who's going through the start of the journey that you've sort of gone through over the past few decades or past few years, what would you say is like the best approach? Should people aim to fail fast, or should they aim to fail less in terms of like building things or in terms of creating things, whether it be a company or it be building a game, or what do you think?
That's a tough question. There's like a school of thought for every entrepreneur that will tell you like if you fail fast, iterate and keep doing. And at some point, I do think there is good truth and good intention in that. It's very hard to have like one rule fits all in general as well to apply to every specific case, etc. So I do think like we need in general founders or creators that are resilient, because like success is not going to come as easily as is. It's very rare, and we can feel it right now in those market conditions, like when users don't just come from like out of nowhere, the token rewards are not sufficient, like there's not much more like token listing and so on. The liquidity and the retail side is not so much presence. We feel it's hard to get users. I don't think it's hard. I just think it's been always like this in any traditional business. You have to really work. You have to create a real product and engage people for the utility of value that actually that product offers, and then progressively introduce them to the other benefit that ownership and blockchain can provide. So in the sense, is like first you have to build a great product or service, or in the case of a game, make it fun. Don't forget, this is the fundamental. You need a product that's attractive, that like we keep like retaining and re-engaging your users. So a lot of like the knowledge we acquired around like KPIs and data-driven application design remains true even with token. Token are like instrument that can bootstrap liquidity, can allow to build community faster, etc. But without a product, all of that is useless. The second is like you need to have founders who are also resilient in a hard time, understand like how and where they can adapt the product, because the KPI are not proving that they are going in the right direction. They don't find the right audience, the right go-to-market, or they are onto something actually that can grow. The resilience is important. The ability to pivot when it's the right time is important. And so what does that mean concretely? In the case of Sandbox, you probably have that narrative so many times. NFTs are dead. Metaverse is dead. So what should we do? Like if I read that in the news, like, okay, there's nothing, we're dead, guys. Like, what do we do? Well, I think like there's always, it is very difficult to actually perceive it, but there's never like an absolute truth where you read something, there's a statement, and that statement is true everywhere in the world at the same time. So no, it's about like being smarter than that and like figuring out like there's probably a go-to-market, there's probably an audience or a region of the world which will adopt your product much better than another. And what we found is like US as a market became more closed because of the uncertainty around like regulation, the SEC and so on for quite some time. Europe was probably slowing down around Web3 adoption and metaverse for regulation and other factors as well. At the same time, Asia was booming, and we saw it and we felt like, well, let's go on the market where actually things are booming. So we went and we doubled down our effort 2 years ago when everyone saying metaverse was dead in Korea, in Japan, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Vietnam, in Thailand, Philippines, India, and Turkey. And we found growth. We saw a lot of interest in those emerging countries and new economies. People want to embrace Web3. They love holding crypto, trading crypto, both as like play to earn or as an investment strategy for them to build like financial wealth. It's much more developed than in the West. They love the concept of virtual real estate because all those cities have actually like a lot of fortune have been made in China, Hong Kong, Korea based on real estate, physical one. So they understand virtual real estate. They understand very well gaming because like Korea, Japan, China, and Southeast Asia are the top gaming markets close or above US now, and they've grown in a culture where gaming is a norm. It's accepted in across a wide range of ages in your family. So it's not abnormal to have like old people in the subway, 80 years plus, use their smartphone, play games, whereas in Europe or in the US, 80 years old people, they still don't understand how to use and open a computer. So like there's such a wide gap of technology and understanding. And we figured out we've been able to shift the growth of Sandbox there and made Sandbox represent more than 40% of its audience and revenue from Asia on those difficult times. Prove that there was a lot of brands that were on board, brands that launched avatar collection, things and experiences that are unique for their fans, specifically in the field of music. For example, like K-pop bands, like we have 80s in Sandbox that's launching like a whole experience for the fan to collect digital collectible and physical collectible. We introduced recently Jurassic World in Sandbox with a new season that was also a success. So that proves us that we're always able to, if we're resilient, to figure out a way to keep growing or to adapt. I think it's been also great to basically reinforce our strengths. So there's things we tried that didn't really pay off, even though we were hopeful for it. And on the other side, we looked into it and say, what do people love about Sandbox? They love the Sand token first. Like Sand is one of the top 100 cryptocurrency in the world. It's a top 5 gaming token. It kept being a top 100 during like the different market up and down. So that means like we've acquired and built a reputation. In Korea, it's the number one market. Sand is very high on Upbeat and other exchange, for example, but it's also in Japan or US. Virtual land. We became the best into creating those virtual neighborhoods on the map where we curate top brands and people can become the neighbors, virtual neighbors of those. There's no one in Web 2 or in Web 3 that built a map that's so advanced than ours. The brands collaboration, in the end, like we are probably one of the only platform where like brands come, they have access to very creative audience that use their official content, buy it and make their own game with it. And I wouldn't say that Fortnite or Roblox started to follow us, but like when we started brand collaboration, they were not doing as much. And now we saw all brands are focusing on video gaming and leveraging platforms like Sandbox, Roblox, or Fortnite to build experiences where they can capture the attention of an audience for like 30 minutes, 1 hour. Whereas when they spend time to create campaign on social media, they capture their attention for 10 seconds. So we were the first, and we are the only platform where we have so many brands that collaborate together to create a sort of like virtual theme park, Disneyland-like feeling. When you enter the metaverse, it's a lot of content. Those have been 3 massive pillars for us, and the focus on creators and creator tools, which has been from day one part of our DNA since 2011. Always be creator driven. Like don't chase just the player, chase first the creator, let them do fun content and train them, teach them to grow their own audience so that they bring new users to the platform as well. And it creates a compounding effect, a network effect, where every single creator bringing a little bit of their audience means more audience for everyone on the platform.
Would you say, so the biggest challenge that the blockchain industry is facing today is mass adoption? I was at a panel this morning and that was the question that I discussed the most. Mass adoption is not happening. What can we do to get them up? You spoke about a very interesting thing. Focus not just on the users, but if you are enabling the creators, users will follow. would you see that? Would you say that has been the differentiator for Sandbox, or is it more? What triggered or what worked for Sandbox to achieve that scale of adoption?
Well, you never know exactly what will trigger the adoption. What we've seen though, like when we look back, is like it usually take only one application, one great game to drive further a whole industry, people who will copycat, more players into it. CryptoKitties led to a lot of copycat and the beginning of blockchain gaming. Axie Infinity showcased play to earn and brought a lot of players into the space. And then let's say there's been another wave with Telegram games and the Ton network as well. And now like, I don't know if we're at mass adoption, but I think like people don't realize that we have more adoption than ever of the technology. I think somewhere 7 million daily active users are playing games that use some blockchain features, whether it's Telegram games, on Avalanche, on Solana, and other. The main issue is like those blockchain and ecosystem are more fragmented than ever. So before it used to be very simple. There was Ethereum, and that's it. There was maybe Polygon, and that's it. So you could see all the game, you could see all the activity in one chain. Now, like again, that's part of like the growth. Is like we have those, I would call them galaxy or blockchains that evolve their audience. And right now, they still, even though we are in Web3 and decentralization, they kind of act as like silos. Until someone, and it's probably one of the trends that will come this year, cross-chain liquidity, cross-chain solution will enable users to bridge or to move their asset or to access liquidity independently on the chain where those assets and accounts are actually based on. Because at the end of the day, it's more a technical matter than something that users should really care for, except a few aficionados that maybe say, like in the day of video game, I'm pro Nintendo, I'm pro Sony, I'm pro Xbox, and I only want an Xbox at my home. I don't think people say I'm only Ethereum and I only want to play Ethereum game or Solana game and I don't care and I will not. Like those days are maybe a bit gone, and so the technology will keep improving, become more seamless, and we'll have maybe a bigger vision and a better vision of what's really happening.
What role do you think security plays in all of this? At least for Sandbox, I'm just curious.
I think it's important, you know, like security, trust, and the ability to showcase and promote good behaviors in this space is so much more important. Every time there is a bad actor or bad event that happens, it breaks the trust and we all lose, basically. We've seen that with the Terra Luna event, the FTX event, with some massive acts of games or exchanges. When games or exchange are actually rugging the users, meaning like basically they don't deliver on the promise they made to the community and they take away all the value for themselves, a small few people with bad intention versus the people who wanted to give their trust, we all lose those users. They will never come back. So in a way, you can feel like, yes, people who entered Play to Earn at the beginning and they bought some NFTs very high and then they never made back any form of revenue from it and they lost money. Are they going to come back? No, it's maybe a traumatizing experience. People who have their wallet stolen or some of their digital asset on their wallet stolen because they fell for a scam, for a phishing campaign, are they going to come back? I think it's a real traumatizing experience, like in physical world, when someone stole in your car, stole your phone, you feel it's your personal life that's been taken away and you lose trust again. When Trump launched a token, it's great, it brings a lot of people to discover about Web3, but those people, did they really have the time to dive the rabbit hole and try many applications before they lost all the value right away? Maybe not. That was very much too fast. Yeah. And so many people say like that had also a negative effect to burn too fast all those users. There was a time in mobile gaming where we were soft launching games in certain countries, in Philippines and others, saying, oh, we are going to launch it to 10,000 users, it's cheap, and we'll use those users as data to improve the game. And we don't care if those players are losing or do we reset everything. We were burning users because we have this sense like there is always an unlimited pool of users that we can take from. So, but that doesn't work in Web3 because like there is real ownership of our asset. Those assets have value. And I think it's important to show the good behavior. So that's what we try to do at Sandbox, ethically, and constantly building, delivering the value, launching NFTs or tokens that have real immediate utility, not just for limited time, but over time, season after season. We also try to show, I would say we're never safe from like hacking or phishing or scamming, but we try to be reactive and to have in place like not just one audit company, but multiple audits of our smart contract and certain number of measures to hopefully show that we're doing everything best in class or best practice to try to protect our users and ourselves and prove that they can hopefully trust us with everything. We always close to the community, keep listening. It's been 5 years and we're still here. We're still like grinding. We're still, very humbly, I feel like we are still very small in the space and we have so much more to achieve yet. And I would encourage, I think like the financial incentive for token are great, but they often have been abused. And meme coin are great for culture. They hold a lot of potential. But again, pump fund has been used in a way that people found it was like a become rich quick kind of scheme.
Yeah.
And in the same day a token launch, you already rug some other users, lose your value, lose your trust. Those users are not going to keep trying the next day on something else. So one bad actor can hurt a whole good industry, unfortunately. And that's why also I'm the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance to fight against those ideas around like scam and like cryptocurrency is not serious, etc. We have like many game companies who are building real serious products. We try to showcase what they do. We try to showcase what the technology can provide. And the technology ultimately is neutral. It's like the way we use it ourselves, what we create with it, that can be good or bad. And we hopefully show like there is a lot of trust to use the technology and as a user, as a developer, or as a platform.
Fantastic. And I know you have a hard stop, Seb, but I would love to have you on a part 2. We can dive so much deeper into it.
Yes.
But in the interest of time, I would love for you to give out 2 messages for our viewers. One, for the builders, for the founders who are entering this space, what advice would you give them? And second, for the users who are stepping into Web3, what would be your message to these 2 categories? If you can look in the camera there and advise them.
All right. So the first message is for the users. Be curious. Like the only mistake you can make is the one not to actually try things by yourself. Like the best way to discover what the technology can offer you is to try with a little bit of time, a little bit maybe of currency, to try those games, try those services, to really understand what it is about and what is the potential about. Don't just trust what you read from someone who told me, someone on a message, etc. Like the best way I always found for me to learn is like by trying by myself and understanding the technology. And so I invite you to try Sandbox. It's free. You can actually earn free NFTs by entering the metaverse. Maybe try the game maker to make your own games. And who knows, you might like it. You might want even make your own game and turn this passion into a career and open many other doors and possibilities behind. For the builders, the creators in the space, there is no better time to build than in a time where like you can have more attention and focus on your product, less distraction. Don't forget that you need to build a product that actually addresses a real problem that can fit an audience. So find out which audience, which problem you're trying to solve, and take it step by step with an MVP. Don't try to just build a huge roadmap, raise a lot of money with the launch of a token without having a proper product, first MVP or beta that is live with, 1,000, 10,000 users that you can collect data from to learn better how to improve that product and reward those few beta users. Don't consider them as disposable. Give them first token first, even before investors, to make sure they are engaged and they feel valued and appreciated for contributing to building the success with you.
Very well. Thank you so much, Sebastien, for taking out the time. I'm sure the audience loved everything that you explained and they learned a lot. And we're definitely going to have you for part 2.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Sebastien, the co-founder of Sandbox. Thank you for joining on Quantum Minds. See you again soon.